In this video, we're going to talk about how to run a Tableau report with a focus on the raw lead data report. First, let's get to Tableau reports from within TurboCampus. Click on Reports, and then click on Tableau Reports. If you know exactly what report you're looking for, you might hunt for it by just scrolling down through reports, or you can tell by tabs. Everything is organized by tabs. So since we know this is a lead report, we could look that way. We could also look in the description to see if it's what we're looking for. A fast way to do it, if you really know what the report name is, to just search on the page, and I'm going to do that find RAW since we have find raw, and it takes me right there. You could do it Control F to open this dialog in Internet Explorer, or that similar dialog will open in most of the browsers. So I'm going to go ahead and run the raw lead data report. Here's the report. And there are three sections on the report. First section you'll notice here is the data itself. Over here we have filters and a lead count. When we say leads, because these are leads here, so this gives a record count of the number of data points we're seeing over there. And then down here we have the controls. So why don't we look at the controls first of all. If I am filtering information here, there may be a number of filters that I want to change at once. If I'm doing that, it might be best to pause automatic updates here. If I click that, this will shift sideways, and then I can change as many of these as I want to. If I did not have that clicked, every time I unchecked one of these, this would refresh itself, and that would slow me way down. Now, once I've unclicked everything I want to unclick, it's obviously not all anymore, I can hit refresh, and that data will all refresh. There will plainly be fewer leads in this lead count now. In fact, I unclick so many people, there's nobody that has a lead in here. So what am I going to do? I don't want to be in that situation. In fact, I can't find some of the filters. One of the other options I have here is to revert all. So I'll click that, and that will restore my filters and everything else to the way it was when I originally brought the lead up. In order to make that have effect, I need to refresh my data again, and we're back to where we started. In general, you will probably want to leave this in not automatic update mode, because you probably won't be working with this in a mode where you need the data to update with live data as it's coming through right away. The next most important thing you probably need to know about these controls here is how to get data out of the system. The best way to do that is typically with a crosstab. A crosstab is very fast, and it exports all these fields exactly as you see them here. So if I go ahead and do a crosstab here, and I click download, and then open that, you'll see all those fields are now exported for me so that I can further manipulate them in Excel. I might open them up a bit, but all that information is there. Going back to our model here, it may be that even though I'm filtering over here, I really want to only see certain people. And I've filtered it down, but let's just say I want to see Kenneth. And now I'm going to hold down the control key and click Luis Safaro and maybe Thomas Allen. Now that I've selected those three, I can come down here and I can select this filter, and I can either say exclude these people, I don't want to see them, or keep only. Let's go ahead and just click keep only. Got to refresh again, get that data to come up, and now we'll just see those three individuals. Now that I've filtered it down to that, another option which is used less often is this option to view the data. I'll click on that, and I'll click download, and this is going to create a new window. So I need to select this separate window over here, and there you can see the data. This looks pretty much like what we see on the screen. However, it does have one option that may come in handy. If I want to click show all columns, now this is going to show all the columns in the database. So maybe there are some other fields in the leads database that I want to filter on that are not displayed here. Well, for instance, if I, for whatever strange reason, wanted to filter on emergency work phone number, or whether they were employed full-time and what the start date was, I can filter on all those things, and once I've gotten it down to here, I can go ahead and download these all as a text file like that, and again I could open them in Excel and further filter them there, but that way I've got every single field in the database if I feel like I need to have filter on some of those additional fields. And here I'll open this, and there you can see that, and we've got lots and lots of fields for each of those two records. I'm going to close that. Again, that's not usually what we would want to do, but it may be in your case that you do. So that's how you use these. If you've been filtering all this and want to get back to where you were, the way to do it is just to hit this revert all. Now I want to focus on these filters over here. As you can see, we could filter in this case by program or admissions rep. So let's just say I am going to unclick this. I'll unclick all these people, and I'm just going to keep that one admissions rep, and I'm going to just keep this single program to make things easier for me, since that's what I'm interested in. When I hit refresh, all the leads that will be in there are leads that are assigned to this admissions rep and are interested in that program. We have enrollment statuses, and there are 32 leads that qualify in these range. We have all the enrollment statuses and all the statuses of whether it's vocational or not. Up here, we could select, for instance, is a tour complete or not, false or true. This means if it's true, yes, there's a date in that tour complete column. And tour set, same thing. If it's true, there's a date in that column. Focus also on this word null. This means that there's no information in there. That's the computer terminology for it, and it's especially important when we look at these date fields. For whatever reason, in Tableau, it does not show everything that might apply to this filter. So for instance, we have created date here between 4/1 and 4/30 of 12. However, if I click on this little down arrow, you can see that there are some other options here, and I can't tell just looking at this box which of these options applies. So let me explain all these options. If I say all values, then it does not matter what is filled in for the date range. It's going to display everything. If I say non-null values, again, it will not matter what dates I have put in there for created date. What will matter is there a date at all. When I say non-null, that means it will only display things that are records that show a created date. If I say only null values, that means it will only show records with no created date. Of course, there's always a created date for any record in this case. So if I click that, we're going to end up with no records at all. Values and range is what you might normally expect. If I've got a range here between 4/1 and 4/30, it's going to just show those values that have where it's in there. And then values and range or null means it will show things in this between these two dates or that don't have a date at all. So for instance, if I had something with 3/15/12 and I had it values and range or null, that would not display. But if I had no date in there at all, it would display. For created, that doesn't matter so much. But for first contact, that could matter quite a bit. If I have values and range or null, it will show me only people that were contacted during a specific time or haven't been contacted at all. But you have to be careful with these date ranges because this doesn't display right here. So you'll want to check and make sure that, say, values and range or null has not been selected unless that's actually what you want. The other thing you really have to be careful with in date ranges like this is that you can easily forget which each of these date ranges covers and exclude things. So if I say it's created between 4/1 and 4/30, and then I say first contact is between 3/1/2007 and 5/30. If I move that first contact around, it's going to say it's got to be both created in this time, and it's got to meet the date field range for first contact, and it has to meet the date field range for order date. So in this case, we're only going to show people that actually have orders that we had a contact with and that were created within these ranges. That can get fairly limited sometimes, and it's easy to make a mistake. So just my warning there is you need to be very careful with date range fields to make sure that you've got things configured exactly the way you want to and intend to. Finally, again, I would say once you've got all this information filtered the way you want it to, the best thing to do if you want to do further analysis or to see this information just as it's displayed here is to go ahead and select crosstab down here and export that to a crosstab. Open it, and in this case We'll just click OK, and there's our data. I have the more data because it was already open from the previous time we exported it. That's the best way to get that data out, and then from here you can further analyze that, and we'll have another video to talk about best techniques for analyzing data once it's been exported to Excel.